Hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevtech here bringing another video on information technology. I hope you're having a good day. Happy Wednesday. And today I actually want to make a video on VMware. So someone was messaging me and literally they messaged me and they're like, Kevin, I'm doing what you're doing on VMware, but it doesn't work. It only works on VirtualBox. Why does this not work? So what he's talking about is installing Server 2016 and installing Active Directory and adding a computer to a domain. So if you didn't watch that video, go watch that video. I made a video on that. So for anyone that's new to IT and you're trying to get your feet wet and you're trying to get some sort of hands-on training experience, go watch that video. I'll leave it below in the description. If not, I'll put it towards the end of the video. But go ahead and watch that video. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, I do IT videos, I do desktop support videos, talk about how to get into desktop support, IT support, entry-level jobs. I do go live here and there. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know when I go live. Let me share my screen with you. Give me a second. So this is a message he sent me. He's like, okay, Kevin, I'm trying to do what you said earlier, but I can't seem to find an answer on Google and YouTube for VMware. So I am gonna show you what to do right now, and I'm gonna install it on VMware. Because actually, I went on YouTube. I literally went everywhere on YouTube, and I have not found a decent video on this. Surprisingly, I did not find a video on this with step-by-step how to create DNS, DHCP, and also installing the server and everything. So we're gonna do that today. Let's do that today. So I have the download over here already, my downloads folder. It should be around here somewhere. It's right here, VMware Workstation. I'll show you how to get it actually. So you're gonna go literally, you're gonna go with Google and you type VMware download, and then you go into the first one, download VMware Workstation Pro, and then you click the VMware Workstation Download Now button and click it right here, and you're good to go. Obviously, I'll put the links below in the description, and you can just click on them when you're installing this. This is for anyone that's new to IT and you want to install this on VMware. I'm basically showing you step-by-step how to do it. And I know for some people, this is like easy stuff. For some people, no, it's hard for them. So this is why I got to go over it, because maybe you're a new guy in IT and you don't have VirtualBox. Maybe you have VMware and you don't know how to do it. You don't know where to start. So that's the reason why I got to go over this real quick. So literally what you do is you go into it, you download it, and you run the install file. So it's going to prepare to install. This shouldn't be complicated. I hope not. We'll see. Keep in mind that I do not use VMware at all. I use VMware Sphere, but I don't use VMware itself, like the workstation. So hit next, hit next. Do I need that? I don't need that. Next. Join the VMware Customer Experience Program. I'm okay. I don't want that. All right. So install, right? So obviously, if you're doing a VMware setup, you need to have the ISO for it. So you need to get the ISO for Windows 10, and you need to get the ISO for Server 2016. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So you have to get the ISO. So I'll leave it below in the description. So you can just go ahead and grab it, and you should be good to go after that. And I'm going to show you step by step how to install it. And I was playing around with it, and I'm like, this is kind of cool actually. So I can install two things at the same time, which is what I like. So I'm going to do and run it like simultaneously. So I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. So I hit next. Just so I'm not going too fast, I click create a new virtual machine. I hit click next. And it says like, do you have the installation for it? I'm going to click I do have it, and I'm going to go into Windows 10. And that's probably on my desktop, which is right here, Windows 10. And I'm going to hit next. And I'm going to call it Windows 10 Lab. It's just like, I like to give it strange names like that. It says it already exists. So I'm going to call it, let me see. So this is like when you do troubleshooting, because I did this before earlier. So what you do is you go into the CPAP directory, and literally you see it's already there, right? It was created earlier today. So what you do is you're going to delete the folder. I'm going to delete all these folders here. And I'm going to try to create it again. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. See, it works now. So if you work IT and you want to and you're trying to create a new virtual machine, you get an error message like I just did. Literally, I went into this path directory. I copy and paste it like so, like you saw what I did, and I went and deleted all those folders or subfolders. So I know that folder hasn't been created yet. It's not going to be there until I actually create it. So we're going to go back into it in 2 seconds. I'm going to make this 60 gigs of space. It's totally. I don't want to split it. I hit store on the top. Customize hardware. So this is how much hardware you want. I'm going to make this 8 gigs of RAM for the sake of this video. Is that right? 7. 7. Yeah, I'll leave it at 7. What the heck? That's fine. Finish. And it should start to power on that VMware or that server you're about to see right now. It should turn it on. I shouldn't have to do anything. All right, there we go. And you're gonna click on it. You're gonna do Control-Alt to get out of the screen, so you can just move around. Now, if you want to figure out and see if the install folder is there, you just click copy and paste. So you do Control-V, and it's right there. You see? Now that folder is there. So that folder is there, recreated itself. So now I'm just gonna follow along here and hit next. I'm gonna hit install. Someone told me that this doesn't work on VMware. So if it doesn't work on VMware, obviously I don't have a product key. If it doesn't work on VMware, I'm gonna make a video on it. And I see that there's not a lot of videos on this, by the way. I checked on YouTube. So right now I'm just installing it. Just follow along with me. Obviously, if I'm going too fast, just slow down the video and take your time. I'm just hitting next, literally, and I'm hitting. I'm not upgrading. I'm just hitting the regular install and hitting next. Now that that's installed, let's make another VM. So we're going to create a new virtual box. We're going to hit next. For this one, we're going to do install operating later. We're going to hit Microsoft Windows. And for this one, I'm going to do server. I want to do Windows Server 2016. Hit next. And we're going to call it Windows Server 2016. We're going to call it Lab. Just like the other one, Lab. Hit next. This one I'm going to make a little bit bigger compared to the other one. I'll make it 80. And I'm going to hit next. Customize. And for this one, we're going to make it 12 gigs of RAM because I love a lot of memory on my server. I'll put 13 is fine. Finish. And then it's not going to know what to do. So literally what you do is you go to edit virtual settings and you go into CD and you go into use ISO image file. You browse to it. You go into wherever you downloaded it. Mine's over here. And you hit OK. And you hit power on virtual machine. And it's supposed to work. Obviously, you have to click on it. You click on it with your mouse like I just did. And then you do Control-Alt to get out of it and just let it run. This is still running. This is why I like this because you can go back and forth. The other one, you can just separate the windows too, but this is okay with me. So I'm back on this. You're going to hit next. You're going to hit install. So someone told me there's no actual like good video for this on YouTube. And I'm like, I'll make a video on it because there's not really a lot of videos on this. So obviously you want to download the desktop standard evaluation desktop experience. Because if you download the other one, it's just going to have the GUI. So you're going to have a black box and you have to run commands on the black box. You don't want to do all that, the PowerShell command and stuff like that. You don't want to do all that. That's crazy, you know? You want the whole thing with the start menu and everything. Hopefully that makes sense. You hit this one. I try to make my videos not complicated. I try to make it as easy as possible because I don't want to confuse anyone. So you do custom install and then you just hit next. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my other video, right? While I'm waiting for those two things to install. I'm going to go into my other video and I'm going to take out my notes. I have notes for everything. So let me take out my notes while I'm waiting for this to finish. Because VirtualBox has been done too many times, but actually VMware has not really been done that much. So I'm going to test this out and see if this works. Obviously, I'm doing this video right now, and you guys can't see me, but I'm going to test it out and see if this, whether or not this actually does work. People keep telling me it doesn't work. So I have my tech notes right here. We're going to be using this as the IP addresses. I'll leave this below in the description as well once the video is done, you know, pretty much done setting up and then upload it on YouTube. Obviously, if you have any questions or concerns, you can let me know, but this should not be complicated. So now this is rebooting again. So obviously for this, since it's already fully, fully installed already, I'm gonna go into settings. I'm gonna go into the CD, and will it let me remove it? Probably not. I'll leave it alone for now. Okay, that's fine. Remind me later. It's totally fine. Yeah, so I'm not really a VMware guy, by the way, guys. Like I said, I do VMware Sphere, where actually there's like in VMware Sphere you create actual virtual servers, and then you get calls sometimes if you work for like I was a junior sysadmin, And basically I get calls like my server, my VM's down right now. Can you restart? And you go into VMware Sphere, you right click on the server or the name of the desktop, you right click on it and you hit reset or restart, and then you just restart it and have them try to log in again. That's basically what I would, and we have that set up. And then we had it set up where with Citrix as well, connected together. That's how I did it. That's what I did in my last job, by the way. So anyway, United States, obviously this is not, I'm not from a different state, United States, no layout. It's going to use the integrated NIC card, which is the NIC that's dedicated to my computer. So my internet should work on this. Hopefully it does work, but it should work. And this one's rebooting still, it seems. Remind me. Yep, it's coming back up. All right. Let's see how my task manager is doing. Nothing. Totally fine. No issues. Look at that. Setup was personal use. It's totally fine. So I have to go over this because I don't want to just, I don't want to start doing things on the fly. I want to explain what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So hit next. No password. I just create a generic password code user, which is totally fine. Yes. Not now. All right, that's done. That's creating itself right now. You see what I do? Me, I like to play around these things, so should be interesting. It shouldn't take that long, by the way. I hope not. So just checking my emails. So I always get emails. I get emails all the time. All right, so for this one, you want to create a password for it. I use the generic password, just capital P, password 123. This is what I did in my other video. If you didn't see my other video, it's already fully set up. And there should be a, now you can do snippets and control delete. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I'm trying to play around with this. Should work. This is still coming. All right. First thing I need you to do later. First thing I need you to do is for this, I need you to go into C Explorer, right? Click on C Explorer right over here. I need you to right click on this PC, hit properties, and I'm going to rename this. Yeah, it says Win4083, whatever. Let's just rename it to Server 2016. Make everyone's life so much easier because it's kind of an annoying name to memorize. So Windows Server 2016. Obviously, it's in a work group, so which is a local group. It's gonna make you restart when you change the name. Whenever you change the name of a computer, it's gonna make you restart. Just remember that if you do IT support, help desk, or desktop support, IT support, help desk, anything level 1, it's gonna make you restart the computer if you change the computer name. And this is actually a interview question. How do you add a computer to a domain? So basically, you right-click on this PC. Actually, like to go to the beginning. To do that, you go into C Explore the yellow triangle. You right-click on this PC. You hit Properties. You hit Change Settings. You hit Change. You put the name of the PC or computer or whatever, and then you click Domain. You put the name, the username, and password, and then you change the name of it. And you add it to a domain. So I'm gonna go over that right now, but this is how you would just change the name of it. So this one here is set up as well. I want to change the computer name on this, but before I do that, I want to actually do, I actually want to go into right-click on this PC. I'm going to go to Properties. I'm going to go to Change Settings. The computer might be a bit slow for me, so I want to do, sorry, not Change Settings. I want to do Advanced System Settings. I want to do Settings here and adjust for best performance. So it could run 2 times faster for me. And then I'm going to go into Change Settings. I'm going to go into Change. And I'm going to rename this Desktop 1, or actually Desktop Lab. Should I call it Desktop 1 or Desktop? I'll call it Desktop 2. Let's call it Desktop 2 for the sake of this video. Desktop 2. So I already have a computer called Desktop 1, and I don't want to confuse anyone. So let's do Desktop 2. All right, so this is actually trying to think about it. Obviously, when you change the name of the computer, it's going to make you restart. Just remember that, because that might be a computer question or IT question if you're going on a job interview. All right, so we're back on VMware over here. I'm gonna right click on here. We're gonna do send control alt delete. We're gonna do password 123, capital P, password 123. Now we wanna go into creating Active Directory users and computers. So we're gonna do that right now. So how do you do that? How do you create Active Directory? So you go into Server Manager. You click on the Start menu, you click on Server Manager. You click on Tools. You click on Manage, and you click Add Roles and Features. You hit Next, Next. So you're gonna do role-based feature, Next. Virtual server from server pool, you're gonna hit Next. And you're gonna hit Active Directory right over here, Domain Services, and it's gonna try to add this other stuff as well, which is totally fine. You hit Add Features, you hit Next, you hit Next, you hit Next, and you hit Install. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Just let it do its thing and go back to Windows 10. This should have rebooted already, which it did. So what we're gonna do is, I am gonna leave this alone for now because I want to make sure that this one's up and running. I'm gonna add this computer to a domain. So Windows 10 Lab, we're gonna add that to a domain. Obviously the name is not Windows 10 Lab. The name of the computer should be Desktop 2. Just to confirm, Desktop 2. So you right click on this PC, it's called Desktop 2. So we're gonna add this computer to a domain. How do you do that? How does that work? I'm gonna show you right now, okay? First, we gotta set up Active Directory, users and computers and everything. So now it wants you to create the domain controller. So the domain controller is DNS. So remember, it's called domain name server. So DNS is domain name server. So your domain name server could be like google.com, amazon.com, facebook.com, I don't know, yahoo.com, reddit.com, whatever it is. So you have to create a domain controller. So this computer that's called Windows 10 can actually connect to it, if that makes sense. So you have to promote this server. So we're gonna click promote this domain controller. Otherwise it's not gonna work. So then here it says, do you wanna add a domain controller? We don't have any domain controller. We have not created anything at all. So it's not gonna work. So you wanna do is you wanna click on add a new forest. You're creating a new domain controller. You're not creating an existing one because we haven't created anything yet. So you have to go into create a new forest or add a new forest. So mine is gonna be called Kevtech. Kevtech.com, if I could spell, right? And then I'm gonna hit next. It's gonna accept it, it should work. There's no, because we're creating it, it should work. All right, and then here, what function level are you using? You're using server 2012, server 2012 R2, you know, we're gonna leave it alone. Don't touch this, server 2016. Password here is gonna be, use the same password 123, capital P. So it's gonna be capital P, password 123, capital P, password 123, and then we're just gonna hit next. And you're gonna hit next. The BIOS name should auto-populate automatically to Kevtech. That is the domain name, BIOS name, and net BIOS name of the server. So it should be Kevtech, and it should auto-populate automatically. You don't have to do anything here, absolutely nothing. Just give it a second. It's taking its sweet time. You just gotta give it a second, okay? So you hit next. And then just give it a second again. You hit next. Don't change any of these things unless you want to, like the log folders and everything. Usually by default, we leave it alone. So you hit next, you hit next, and it should start installing it. This shouldn't be complicated. So then start install. So far, so good. So far, everything is working the way it's supposed to work. Someone told me that this wasn't working for them. So this is the reason why I created this video. Like, if you ever get stuck on something for whatever reason, you have to go on Google and search for everything. And Google is your best friend. So hit install. All right, let that install. Don't worry, you're gonna get a bunch of error messages. It's totally fine. There's nothing to do with that. We don't care about that. We care about building a lab environment, and we care about adding a computer to a domain. So this way, it gives you the opportunity, if you're working help desk or desktop support, you could actually practice with the computer in the domain. You could do group policy, you could do shared drive permissioning, you could do a bunch of stuff on it, you know? So this is the point of this video today. It's just adding a computer to a domain. But we have to configure DNS and DHCP, and I'm gonna show you how to do all that. So don't worry about that, okay? And I have it right over here. So while we wait for that to install, I'll show you. So DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and is a network protocol used for IP networks where the DHCP server automatically assigns an IP address and other information to each host on the network so that it can communicate effectively with other endpoints. Then you have your DNS. DNS connects with URL IP addresses. It's possible to type words instead of strings of letters, like domain name, if that makes sense. Remember I went over this just now a few seconds ago? And then you have your reservations. IT offers DHCP reservations with DNS host name of servers, printers, and devices. So some printers, some computers might have a static IP address, and the domain name or require the domain name or require recommend. It might have a static IP address. You might see that. And you have your lease time where it's only good for a certain amount of time. So these IP addresses expire after a certain amount of time. So they're not good forever, you know. And I'm not sure you what I'm talking about when I start doing it on the server. Okay. Just wanted to share that with you. So this is still installing. So this is very important. So just keep in mind what I just went over: DNS, DHCP, lease time, reservation. You need to understand these terms. You need to know how to explain this to a manager if you're doing entry-level help desk or desktop support. In today's modern world, nobody wants to hear a definition. They want to hear an example of a definition. So like, what we're doing now, you could explain it to an IT person and they would know what you're talking about, or an IT manager and they would know what you're talking about. And they say, what is domain name server? You're like, oh, domain name server is a domain name server is a domain name server. That's like, for example, an example that would be google.com. Or an example of domain name server would be if I install Active Directory services on a server 2016 and I create a domain name server, call it kevtech.com or call it whatever name you want, X, Y, and Z, and I promote that as a domain controller. That's, you know, you give it a hypothetical example. Or someone asks you another hypothetical example, what is DHCP? DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and obviously this is going to make you sign out, which is fine. This is going to make you sign out. You know, you have to know how to explain it. You know, you say, what is DHCP? DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. A unique IP address is assigned to a specific computer or a specific desktop. Long time ago, it used to be a bunch of hexadecimal numbers. Now it translates letters into numbers, you know, something like that. That's how you explain something to a manager if you're going to a job interview. This is why I'm going over this live, but also you have to know how to explain it. It's not just doing it, it's actually explaining it too. That's very important in IT. So make sure you know how to explain something. All right, so this is actually restarting right now. Super important stuff right here, by the way. This is not like, I'm not making this up on the fly. This is stuff that you will see at work, by the way. Actually not installing the server, but like, you know, like going on a job interview and they ask you, what is DNS, what is DHCP? How do you create a user account? How do you unlock an account? How do you do a password reset? How do you set an account to expire? How do you disable an account? How to add someone to a distribution group? How to add someone to a security group? All those things you will see in your environment if you work help desk or IT support. You may have access to it, you may not have access to it, but you need to understand what you're doing. You need to understand how to explain it, and you need to practice it. So that way you feel comfortable and you're able to actually explain these things to a manager, and you're able to explain these things to an IT manager, and like, oh, this guy, this girl, she knows or he knows what he's talking about. You know, he's not making things up. Yeah, I have a lab at home. I have a server 2016. I know how to create an account. I know how to add users to a computer domain. I know how to add a computer to a domain. I know how, even though I don't have any work experience, I built a lab at home, and I know how to add a computer to a domain. I know how to create a user account. I know how to create a distribution group. I know how to add someone to a security group. I know that you got to go into server manager and you go into users, you right click on the user folder and you click create a new account and create a user account, and then create a password for that user account, add their first and last name. You know, all those things I'm talking about, all those things you need to know how to explain those things if you're working help desk or IT support. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. So let that reboot. It's almost done. Let that reboot. Let that restart. We're still restarting here. I know this is a kind of a long video, but this is gonna help you out. Trust me. Trust me. Once I explain everything to you guys are gonna be like, oh my God, this is so easy. Why am I making my life complicated? This is so easy to explain to someone. You gotta talk to someone like you're talking to your mom and dad. That's how you explain something to a manager. You know, like if they ask you what is domain name server, yeah, it's a website or a host or something like that. And Google.com, you know, you create a domain name server as well. If you actually have a server, and you could promote a domain controller, you know, you gotta make it as simple as possible. Don't get too technical with it, and just explain it to them, and word it in such a way that they understand it and that you understand it, if that makes sense. You know, like ask yourself, like, can I explain this to him or her? And does it sound too complicated? Do they understand what I'm talking about? Do I not sound like I'm crazy? You know, does it sound right? You know, like those are the things you need to look at when you're explaining something to someone during a job interview. So I need to go over this as well, because, you know, VMware is there, and a lot of people do the labs, but you got to know how to explain it. You know, it's not all about creating labs. It's also about explaining what you're doing. Anyone could copy what I'm doing right now and just, you know, join a computer to a domain and install a server with ISO image. You know, anyone could do that. Anyone could copy what I'm doing, could copy and mirror what I'm doing. But then when you ask an interview question and tell me how to add Active Directory services, tell me how to do DHCP, tell me how do you add a computer to a domain, tell me how can you confirm that computer is on the domain on Server Manager, you know, those things, then it becomes tricky. You know, you don't know what you're talking about. So you have to know how to explain everything. And that's why I'm going over it. It's very, very important that I go over it. And this does take a while, by the way. This is taking a while. You see it's taking a bit of time, but it should work. So give that a second. Give that a second. Just get that. It does take a while for it to actually connect. So just give it a second. It's almost done, guys. Almost done. Almost done. Just bear with me. Wait, this does take a while, by the way. You see, I'm not gonna give you an unrealistic time. It says it's gonna take 10 minutes to install. This does take a while to install. So you gotta give it time. You know, you gotta have patience with it. It doesn't. You could add more memory to it. It's not really gonna do anything. This part takes a while, but after you do this, you should be good with the VM. You know, so just be patient with the VM. Don't get annoyed by it or anything. So, all right. So right click on it, do sync control delete. You know it's in the domain. How do you know it's in the domain? It says Kevtech/administrator. It even says sign into Kevtech. That's how you know it's on the domain. So if someone would ask you an IT question and ask you, is this computer on a domain or is it not on the domain? And it says sign into Kevtech or whatever, it says something down there, then yeah, you're like, yeah, it is on the domain. It even tells you right there. How do you know if it's on the domain? Look, type domain name, domain username to sign into another domain. You know, it tells you right there. So just fun fact, you could click on this. It tells you how to sign into another domain. Anyway, so let's log into this. So it's same one, password 123. All right. So now I'm going to take my notes, and I'll leave my notes on the description. Don't worry about it. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go into control panel. So we're going to go to the start menu. We're going to go into control panel. And we're going to go into view network task, change adapter settings, change the internet settings, hit properties, hit TCP IPv4, and we'll leave that alone. We'll leave it at this actually. And we're going to do 10.1.10.2. This is fine. Default gateway is going to be 10.1.10.1. And then default address, the preferred DNS is going to be 10.1.10.2, 10.1.10.1. And you'll leave it alone. So just remember when you do this, you're not going to have internet on your computer. I'm just letting you know. This is just for lab purposes only. Your internet is not going to work. If you ever want to have internet on the server, you literally go back into properties. You go into here and you put obtain IP address automatically. For the sake of this video, we're creating a lab. So, and I don't have a Cisco router. So just keep in mind I don't have a Cisco router. So if you don't have a Cisco router, this is the workaround. So you could actually add a computer to a domain. All right. So now we're going to go into tools. We're going to go into DNS. And we're going to configure DNS. Is this the right one? No, it's not. Sorry. Not DNS. Sorry. Excuse me. We're going to go into the DNS. No, it's not right. So we got to go back into add roles and features. Next, next, next. DHCP server. My bad, guys. We're going to the DHCP server. We're going to hit next, next, next. You gotta enable the DHCP server, otherwise it's not going to work. So I'm going to go into the DHCP server. Next, next, next. And I'm going to install that. Shouldn't take that long. So I forgot about the DHCP server. I got to install that, otherwise it's not going to work. Yeah, just follow along with me. Like I said, my videos are not 100% perfect, but it should work. You know, it should work. So I forgot about the DHCP server, so I'm going to add that right now. You're going to see what I'm talking about when I talk about a reservation and stuff like that. So let that install. So we're going to close out of this, which is fine. I'm going to click on DHCP. So now this is what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see my screen. Doesn't really let me open it 100%. It's totally fine. Now we're going to go into DHCP. We're going to go into this. We're going to go into IPv4. We're going to right click on IPv4. We're going to hit new scope, right? Remember, so there's like a scope of IP addresses between 100 to 200 IP addresses or whatever. So we have to set up a pool of IP addresses for this, you know, for this particular computer or the server to assign IP addresses to other computers and other devices, if that makes sense. So there's a certain amount of IP addresses you have, and it's only good for a certain amount of time. So we're going to call this Kevtech. So Kevtech, I can spell my name right. I'm going to hit next. And it says that the scope, where do you want it to start from? So for this, I have my notes right over here. It's 10.1. .10.100, 10.1, .10.200. And it says the length, right? We'll leave it at 8 for now. And then it says here, type of pages that you want to exclude. Really gonna leave that alone, we're not touching that. And then this is what I'm talking about, the duration of the lease time. So it says here, lease duration should typically be equal to the average time the computer is connected to the same physical network. For mobile networks that consist mainly of portable computers or dial-up clients, shorter lease time durations can be useful. Likewise, for a stable network that consists mainly of desktop computers at fixed locations and longer lease durations, set duration of scope lease when distributed by the server. So this is only good for a certain amount of days. So for this video, I'm going to make it good for 24 days. I'm going to hit next. Yes, I want to configure this right now. Yes. This is fine. This is fine. Yes, yes. All right. All right, so this looks right. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to open up CMD, command prompt. I'm going to do ping kevtech.com. That seems to work. There's nothing wrong with it. So let me go back to my lab over here. So this is my Windows 10 lab. I'm going to try to add this to a domain. So I'm going to go into the start menu. I'm going to go into control panel. Go into view network and tasks, change adapter settings. I'm going to go into internet 0. I'm going to properties, TCP IPv4, IP address. And if we use 10.1.10.2, we're going to use 10.1.10.3 for this one. Default gateway is going to be 10.1.10.1. And then we're going to do the preferred DNS 10.1.10.2, 10.1.10.1. So is this going to work? We're going to see right now. So I'm going to do CMD ping kevtech.com. It looks like it's working. All right. I'm going to go into the C Explorer, this PC. You're going to right click on this PC and hit properties, change computer, and change and domain This is how you add a computer to a domain. So if you add a computer to a domain, literally all you do is click the C Drive Explorer, this PC, you right click on this PC, you hit change settings, you hit change, computer, you go to the domain, computer's desktop 1 or desktop 2, sorry. You do kevtech.com and let's see if it lets you do it. And it does let me do it. Look at that. Look at that. Just like that lets me do it. An administrator, because you're using the administrator password from the domain controller or from the domain that has server 2016 and you log in with that. And it should be password 123 capital P. Let's see if it lets you do it. It's supposed to let you do it. Voila. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you add a computer to a domain. Simple as that. Look at that. I don't know why this is complicated for some people, but that's how you do it. Now you can test it out. How do you confirm even further that it works? I'll show you right now. I'm showing you right now. It's not complicated. I don't know why people make it complicated. Control Alt, all right? This is how you build your own lab at home. So if you have VMware for 30 days, it's only good for 30 days. This is how you would do it. All right, so then how do you confirm that this is on a domain? You right click on it, you do Control Alt Delete. It says user. So this is the local user account that comes with the computer. But if you go to other user right over here, it says sign in with Kevtech. That's how you know it's working. How do you confirm even further that you know it's working? You want to find out the local PC name. So you do /. It says desktop 2. That's how you log in locally with the local user account. How do you confirm even further that it's on the domain controller and that's on the actual server? You go into server 2016. You open up the start menu on the bottom left-hand side. You click server manager. You go into tools. You click into Active Directory users and computers. You click on Kevtech. You click on computer and it should be there. Desktop 2 is right there. That's how you confirm that it's there. Now, if you want to confirm even further that it does work properly, literally all you do is you create a new user account. So you go into, in me, I'm kind of, I don't know if it's just me, I'm kind of lazy with this. I like to just make shortcuts. So I do pin to taskbar, I close out server manager. So every time I go into server manager, you know, I don't got to go into active users and computers, like directory using. It's going to drive me crazy. Like I have a shortcut right here. Why would I want to go here when I could just go here, right? So you click on this, it's there. That's it. And then you want to go into users. You right click on users. You hit user, hit new user, and we're going to make a test dummy one. So we'll make it for the sake of this video as a common courtesy. I'm going to make it Tom Smith, I guess. I'm going to do T Smith. And then we're going to do next. And we're going to do password must change. Password must change the next login. I'm going to do capital W, welcome, 1, 2, 3. Capital W, welcome, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to hit next. So now the password has been reset. The account has been created. I should be able to log in with Tom Smith, T Smith. And my dog's barking in the background. Just ignore that. So we're gonna go into Windows 10 Lab, and I'm gonna log in as that. And it should prompt me. It should prompt me to log in and change the password immediately. So I'm gonna do T Smith. And I'm gonna do capital P password 1, 2, 3. Actually, sorry, welcome 1, 2, 3. There we go. Capital W, welcome 1, 2, 3. User must change password next login. I'm gonna make it password 1, 2, 3. Capital P, password 1, 2, 3. And you should be able to log in. Password has been changed. Voila, that's it. Simple as that. That's how you add a computer to a domain. That's how you create a user account. And that's how you set up Active Directory users and computers. That's how you set up Active Directory. That's how you set up DNS and DHCP. So that's it. That's pretty much it. If you have issues with this, let me know, but it should work. That's how you would do it on VMware, because there is no video. It's not really a proper video for this. And I know some people download VMware for 30 days and they want to learn how to do this. That's how you would do it. Obviously, you want to see me install Exchange 2016 on VMware, let me know and I'll make a video on that. But it should be the same thing. You know, you should just follow along with VirtualBox. It should work the same way. Okay. So that's how you do it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on this, shut down. Right click on this, shut down. Obviously your server has to be on if you're trying to connect the Windows 10 machine. to the domain, you know, you're trying to log in, the server has to be on. It's not going to work if the server's not on, obviously. So that's how you would do it. That's pretty much how you do it. That's how you do it in a nutshell. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. As always, rate, comment, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And I hope this video helps you out if you're trying to install VMware with Server 2016 and adding a computer to a domain. And this is the easiest way to do it. You can download all that stuff for free online. That's how I would do it if I was you. And you could actually do group policy and a bunch of other stuff. All right. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care. Peace. Later. And have a wonderful Wednesday. Take care.